12:30 in the morning. I was asleep last night around 10 and awake this morning. What time was it? The sun was up. I think it was about 6:30. No, it was earlier because I was done eating by the time I took my pills. I think it was more like 4ish. The sun wasn't quite up, or was it? I was up early. It's cold in here. Try to turn the heat down. It's like 12 degrees outside. It's like unseasonably cold, and it doesn't seem to matter what what is done. He will not turn his air off. Now, I mean, I acknowledge it's kind of a compound problem, right? Because he won't turn his air down, and so I turn my heat up, and then he won't turn his air down because I've got my heat on, and it's a loop, right? I'm gonna try to keep it off in here at least, and just have it running. I'm gonna change my battery. I'm overdue. Okay, so we're heading near the end of the day. I don't think it's so far near the end of the day, but a little bit closer to the end of the day. I'm getting the feeling that today's going to be a little bit of a longer day, and that's okay. In fact, I'm maybe a little bit overdue. So, I was talking about last night. One of the things I was concerned about was what kind of drive that machine can handle. That is, of course, my media, or my TV, right? So, YouTube comes through the internet into that machine and out into the TV and the speakers. So, it's been a while, but that's how this is supposed to work. Anyways. And I became concerned about what kind of drive that could handle. And I was going to take one of my 250 gigabyte SATA drives, take my SATA to, I bought it as a SATA to USB, but it's also got a SATA to PATA connector, and try it in there and see. I didn't actually end up doing that. I would have filmed it if I did. But instead I just read up on it a little bit and realized that, okay, it's a physical thing. That motherboard has an ATA 4, and I need an ATA 6. The chipset is also incompatible. I can be fairly confident that that machine is not going to accept anything bigger than 137 gigabytes. So I wasn't able to find anything on the internet that was that small at a reasonable price. And on top of that, I started, just reading through comments and stuff. They were selling old drives. I mean, they were shrink wrapped. They're new drives, but they've been sitting in packaging since 2005, right? Which is when that technology became obsolete. So, it's a crapshoot, right? I was thinking in my mind I'd be better off if I bought a new drive, right? Even if it's older, but just reading the comments is obviously a crapshoot because they've been sitting on the shelf for 10 years. So, and on top of that, I mean, I couldn't find anything the right size. So I took a look up Kijiji, and I was able to find somebody selling a whole bunch of IDE drives. He wants to sell them all for $80, but only 2 of them are useful to me, so I offered him $20. And we'll see if that goes through. Also spent some time researching some hard drives for the laptops. And after a lot of haggling and a lot of screwing around and a lot of messing around, I came to the conclusion that I'm better off getting some terabyte drives. um, that are SSHDs. So that would mean I'm going to get 2 of them, one for in there. That hard drive is broken completely. And if I'm going to get new hard drives, I'll put a new one in here too. Meaning I'll be able to put aside, I'll put the drive that's in here aside as a backup. And especially considering that I think that it's the hard drive that's causing my freezing. Um, I'll be happy to kind of put it aside, kind of thing. But it'll mean it'll be there for in case I need something, right? Um, that also means I can maybe worry a little bit less about transferring things because I can connect it via external and copy whatever I want off of it from there. So when I move that drive over, I'll be starting fresh with a new drive in it. Or when I move that machine over as an editing machine, I'll put a new drive in it. Something else I spent a lot of time thinking about is what am I actually going to do in here? Am I going to buy a laptop? But like I thought about it, and it's like I'm going to rotate my batteries because I'm getting a low and I shouldn't because these are. I just changed them 5 minutes ago, so let me rotate. All batteries will eventually go, but I mean, it's not the batteries, it's the device. It's weird. Anyways, that's something that when I'm down there getting my bicycle, that's the store I need to go to get batteries for that charger. And I'll probably get a whole bunch, double A's, triple A's. I might even get a new charger for the D's. And when I get when I get my bicycle, like when I'm mobile again, to me also mobile means just having a bicycle. When I'm mobile again, I'll be able to get out to these. That's what I'm really missing with the bicycle is not being able to get. Like if it's a 2-hour walk, I can't get there. I may end up still walking. Well, I'm sure I will probably end up walking for groceries just because I need to, and that's what I do. I'll be walking to Detroit even if I get a bicycle on the other side, but like to get to the Canadian Tire, to get to the Walmart, to get out to these places, because these kinds they aren't downtown, right? For the batteries specifically, like I need the specific type of batteries because I've got the specific type of charger, and I tried with the other ones and they died quickly, right? So, anyways, what am I gonna like? Should I get a laptop in here? And I worked it out and I thought it through, and I went through all these different combinations in my mind, and it's just like, and I think I went over this once before, but I've learned, right? How many desktops have I bought in my life? Well, there was the one that I bought in 1999, which is still completely functional minus a hard drive, and I've had to throw out, I think, one optical disc reader, right? It was a CD burner that I bought in I think 2000. No, earlier than that. I bought the CD burner in 19. In fact, the CD burner is older. That's right. The CD burner is older than that computer. Or the one CD burner that I threw out was older than that computer, right? I mean, everything else. The motherboard's good. All the video card's good. There's no shorts. And that'll run for another 30 years, right? I might have to replace the hard drive a few more times, but broadly speaking, like that thing's gonna last forever. The other one is my desktop in there, which I haven't replaced anything. Well, no, sorry, that was the one hard drive that went, right? So what I've learned is that when I buy a desktop, I might have to replace a hard drive every couple of years. which I probably want to do anyways, right? But when I buy a laptop, how many laptops have I bought? There's that one laptop behind, you know, the super old laptop. That one's been. Then again, it's had sporadic use as well, right? What other laptops? Well, I bought that one refurbished, and I've lost RAM, and I've lost a hard drive, and I've lost a battery, right? So that's 3 parts that will break in your laptop, for sure, right? Or 2 anyways. Your hard drive will go, and in fact the optical drive doesn't work either. But I'm not really worried about that. Although, I mean, I'll check to see what the price is. Maybe I'll see. But I'm not entirely sure how to remove the optical drive in that. I need to find um, a manual, which I've already found it a few times. I gotta make sure that I get it. We'll get to that in a second. Um, this one I've had for 4 years, and it was not refurbished. It was brand new. And what have I lost in it? Well, I tried to clean the fan, and I lost, the entire screen. I might be able to get that back, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. I've lost one of the USB. The other USB is doing something screwy. I don't know. I don't know if it seems to be driver, if you ask me, but it's clearly not functioning properly. And the drive is probably going to go soon. So I'm going to move this into the other room, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if we ignore the old 90s laptop, which like I say has had minimal use, and I don't know how it's been, I don't know what's been changed in it. I'm guessing that the hard drive got updated at some point. I bought 2 laptops. Well, I only bought one of them, but I have 2 modern laptops, and they're both falling apart after 3 or 4 years. Whereas I have 2 desktops. The des- my music desktop in there is older than either of these laptops, and there's no sign of stress. So what that tells me is that if I were to buy a laptop in here, I would expect it to die in a couple of years, right? Because that's the lifespan of a laptop. It's a couple of years. In 4 or 5 years, I'm going to lose the battery, right? I'm going to lose the hard drive. Probably going to lose at least a couple of DIMMs of RAM. If it comes with an optical drive, I'll lose it. On top of that, I'm stuck with a webcam. I'm stuck with wireless that I probably don't want. And it's expensive, right? On top of that, I'm not even mobile. I'm not going anywhere with that laptop. If I bought a laptop, it would just sit there, right? It would not leave. It would just sit there. It wouldn't move. So what's the point of that? Why would I buy a laptop to have it sit there and go bad in a few years? You can't replace it. The electrical goes bad, and then 4 or 5 years from now, I have to buy another laptop. Seems kind of stupid, right? Meanwhile, I can get a desktop with, twice the specs for the same price. What am I going to do? This computer is going to sit right there. It's going to act like a desktop. Why wouldn't I do that? So I've more or less decided that I'm going to buy a desktop in here. And that desktop is going to have a lot of RAM. Because that's what I really need, is a lot of RAM. Right? I don't need a wireless card. I don't need a webcam. I don't need a slim device. I don't need something mobile. I need something that's going to sit still. I don't even need a lot of space, although, when you buy something nowadays, it'll have a lot of space. At least not on that machine, I don't need a lot of space. I'd rather use externals for space on this machine. It just makes more sense. In fact, it would make sense that I bought an external drive for MP3s, and it was initially going to be over there, but it would make more sense just to leave it in here, right? All the machine has to do is it has to have a decent modern processor and a lot of RAM. And I can get a desktop like that for $300, $400. A comparable laptop would be $1,000. It'd be foolish. I should get a desktop. That said, should I not have a mobile laptop? Well, that there will be my mobile laptop. Although it will also be Guitar FX processor, so I want to get a USB sound card for that reason. Something I can plug in real time. Kind of like my old thing there. My old Sound Blaster. I'd want to daisy chain it, right? Or even just, use it as it is. So, it's kind of useful because, well, actually, let me think about that too. Now, maybe I might want to get both, huh? My bottleneck on the other machine is with RAM. Yeah, no, that'll be kind of low on the priority. I just want to fix that up. I may end up using that as my access point. Sorry, that as my like go out machine, which is like it never happens, right? And they get something else with a USB key. But we'll see how that goes over time. Keep in mind, I also have I have a pod, right? So this might be. I can play in real time with the pod, or even with the Alesis through a guitar rig. So I wanted something that was more of a dedicated unit, right, for live performances, which is itself not particularly pressing for me. I'm gonna have to do that one day. That would make sense because I can set up the only thing I'd be really missing is the bass. Well, at the moment, yeah. this idea is still a little bit raw in my mind, right? I don't write for performance. I write for for playback. But that's decided upon. That's gonna be my like. I'm not like I never like. What are laptops good for? Like to go out and do things, right? If you're in school or if you have a job, right? That's what the laptops are good for. I don't plan on getting a job anytime soon. Am I gonna hang out in a library? I could see myself hanging out in a library eventually. Um, but if I have JSTOR access here, that thing, 4 gigabytes of RAM, probably will do whatever I need it to do. But like I said, I'm toying with something, but I mean, it's going to be like if there's money left over, right? And it's going to be like juggling that with what I need in the music from. But for right here, this access point, it makes sense to get a desktop and not a laptop. So, I've also decided that this thing, I'm going to move it in here. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. There's my low battery, and that still doesn't make sense. I've decided that what I'm going to do with that, I don't know yet, or sorry, the monitor, like, the monitor's not clear to me, but I am pretty sure what I'm going to do with this. I should be able to just plug that as an editing machine. I should be able to just pop it into here. So that I can edit in here through the TV. I already have a switcher, right? So there's actually 3 settings. One of them's a DVD player. The other one, setting 2, is that computer, and setting 3 will be the laptop. I just need to figure out. I've got 2 outs on there. I've got a VGA out and an HDMI out. This just takes a regular like an S video. Is that what that is? S video? I think it's S video. But it's just like your old analog in, right? So I'll need to find a way to convert. Probably the best thing is to convert the VGA, and I may even be able to do that with a KVR that I have from in there. I'll need to leave it down here though, right? So when I'm sitting here, I'll have that and that for that, and I'll have the laptop sitting here with a cord coming up around. In the long run, might I end up? Well, in the long run, I might. It's a possibility that I might end up taking that one out and just relying on the out from the laptop. What that's going to be dependent on is whether I can find the right cords for it or not, and I mean how well it can handle the multitasking in the end, right? I'm taking the virtual machine out, and I'm putting an extra 4 gigabytes of RAM in it. So it's gonna have 8 gigabytes of RAM and a terabyte of hard drive space. Is that enough to watch videos while I'm eating and edit at the same time? If it is, then that one becomes, I don't want to say obsolete, but I'll find some other use for it. was initially going to use that as a sort of a glorified typewriter, and that was fine 10 years ago, which is when I was initially doing it, and it was 10 years ago now, believe it or not. More than 10 years ago now. But, well, I've been blaming the slowdown on that machine on a combination of Firefox getting needlessly complex and YouTube kind of, going over the top. I'd say based on what I've seen on the laptop, the idea that, even if I was only running it like with one tab and YouTube, it still wouldn't, with 1 GB of RAM, Firefox couldn't run YouTube with 1 GB of RAM nowadays. I know that it's absurd on its face, but it is true. So let me rephrase that. It couldn't do that and multitask. What am I getting at here? I couldn't do that and do other things at the same time. I could just do that. But, like, to use it as a typing machine and all the things I use it for, that machine is probably out of its element at this point. Although that was the initial point, right? I was going to use it as a typewriter, so I do email over it, comments on the internet, blogging, typing, all that kind of stuff. That was my, and I did initially, right? I guess from about 2006 to 2011. I was still using that as a blogging machine in 2011. But it, I don't know. Could I blog with it? Just blog with it? Maybe. But then if I convert that into that access point, and what that would mean was that I'd spend most of my time in here when I'm watching something, right? So the idea of sitting in the other room and watching, but then again, maybe that's better, right? And so then, do I need a new laptop at all? Or sorry, do I need a new computer in the other room at all? And so that's why we should do this one thing at a time. What I'm focusing on right now is, okay, let's get all of the machines that are in here upgraded. And then once I've done that, I can say, okay, what do I really need to buy next, right? So, with that said, after I worked with the hard drive, the next thing to do was to determine what to do with RAM, because I am going to need to take that up from 2 to 4, and I wanted to see the way to do it. When I turned that on initially, it didn't come up. It was the black screen, no response. After a little bit of testing, I realized it was a short in the wireless. And I think that ultimately, I'm blaming it on the video connection, but I think the short was actually in the wireless, because the wireless, it connects to the wires up under the screen. So it's a little funny that I seem to have had the same error on both machines, right? That machine, I just had to reseat the wireless and they came back. But it's just another reason to really not want to buy another laptop that has wireless, that has a webcam. It's a surveillance device. And if you're going to spy on me, I don't have a phone. I'm going to have a phone soon. Go ahead, spy on me over my phone. It's off in the corner. I'm sitting in bed here. There's no webcam in that machine, but there's a wireless. There's neither in this one now. I'm sitting in my bed typing. I don't need a webcam. I don't need a wireless. You know? The desktop will be fine. So, um, now I am actually concerned about battery, so I'm gonna stop this. That was the day, um, juggling this and that, and I'm up to about, well, there's 300 there, and I have determined I'm gonna get some RAM, although so and I'm gonna get a battery in there too. So I guess I'm at around 375 dedicated, and that fixes that machine and fixes that machine, and plus the RAM in that one, I'm looking at around 400, 500, and that includes the phone too. So that looks like it's the first round, right? Um, the first day I'm gonna get a bicycle and I'm gonna get some shoes. So, but I mean, this is the first batch of electronics. Um, the other machine is in the computer room, and what do I need in there? I need a monitor, but I'll probably get that at a pawn shop. Um, and while I'm at it, I'll probably look ahead and get um, a new hard drive. I won't install it right away, but I'll look ahead and do it. It was a 2 terabyte drive because I'm going to swap the 4 out. And I'll have to make the decision eventually as to whether I want to get an SSD in there. I also got to, like I say, the bottleneck on that machine is eventually I'm going to want to upgrade to 64-bit because I need more RAM. And I need to sit down and think about I mean, for right now, the software doesn't make sense, right? And I'm kind of real like, if I'm going to do it, it makes more sense for me to dual boot to start. But even that is like, I have to wonder if I might be better off getting another like little mini desktop and letting it sit beside it and KVRing in there. But I'm just drawn back by the fact that I haven't really had a reason yet. And on top of that, I have 1 gigabyte. I I thought at the time it would be better to get 4 because if one goes, I could replace it with a 2. And that was always my plan, right? Is that as the RAMs go out, I'd replace them with larger amounts. I think it's a 16 gigabyte limit in there. So I could, as the 1 goes out, I'd replace it with the 4. But I mean, they're still there. It's 10 years later and they're still there. Um, so that's another thing. Do I want to think ahead and get 16 gigabytes of RAM to plug into that board? And if I'm going to do that, then I'm certainly dual booting. And I'm really thinking ahead about that. So I kind of want to weigh my options on that too, right? It's that's a dual core in there, 2 3.5s. But I mean, I don't. The processor's not a problem in that. It's if there's an issue with RAM. But still, I mean, if like at this point I could get a processor that's twice as fast for peanuts, right? Leaving me with a board. And so then I need to ask questions like, well, might I even want to take the computer that's in there, move it over here, right? And then put that one into pasture. So that's why we got to do this one kind of piece at a time, right? I wouldn't put that out to pasture. I would find out something to do with it. I would, max it out and figure out something to do with it. But yeah, that's the day. And we're still going today. So let's keep going. But I think we're done. Talk again tomorrow. Hopefully, I've got some more conclusions for tomorrow. There's a possibility my check may even be tomorrow. We'll find out.